You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Live at 4. We begin with breaking news today.
The Dane County District Attorney has charged a man with the killing of Isamar Valverde Ponce. 23-year-old Gerson Blano is charged with first-degree intentional homicide, giving false information about a missing or kidnapped person and hiding a corpse. Ponce has not been seen since January 11th. Her family reported her missing a day later. Police found Ponce's body on the 14th. Blano's bond is set at $800,000. He is currently at the Dane County Jail and is expected in court on January 29th.
And of course, our other big story is our weather. Hope you're staying safe out there. Jacob Madison joins us with what's coming up. Jacob.
Yeah, Brady, continuing to see temperatures at, if not below zero for a lot of the area. Zero right now is the current temperature in Madison. A few parts of Dane County are getting above that zero level, which is some minor good news. But it looks like we are staying below zero off to the north and east. And we also are still dealing with some breezy conditions. Now, the good news is that the winds are sort of out of the southwest, and eventually they're going to be due out of the south, which will actually help temperatures warm up just a little bit overnight. But for right now, with these cold temperatures and the winds, we're still dealing with these wind chills in the negative teens. Negative 13 is the wind chill in Madison, negative 21 in Juneau. So we still have alert day conditions right now across southern Wisconsin, and that is expected to continue throughout the night into Wednesday morning. Likely going to stay in the negative teens to negative 20, low negative 20s, but we're still going to be dealing with this bitter cold air. Now, as we look at the wind chill forecast, it's going to remain in the negative teens throughout the evening. Once we get to the overnight hours, though, that southerly wind will actually help the temperatures warm up a bit, but we're still going to see below zero wind chills to start Wednesday. But then by Wednesday afternoon, it will get better. But we still are going to see a few other mornings where the wind chills are going to be very cold. I'll talk more about that and give you the chance of snow that's in our forecast coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. Wisconsin is among the 24 states and cities suing to block President Trump's executive order that would end birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants.
Governor Tony Evers and Attorney General Josh Kaul announced their role in the suit today. It alleges the order violates the 14th Amendment, which gives all children born in the U.S. the right to citizenship. And we do have a statement from Governor Evers about the suit. It reads in part, attempting to deny citizenship to kids who were born in the United States of America is as egregious and wrong-headed as it is unconstitutional. We'll have more on this later on Live at 4 when we speak with a constitutional law expert. These freezing cold temperatures can be a reminder for how lucky it is for some people to have a warm place to call home.
Yep, something a lot of us take for granted. Our Merrill Hubbard spent the morning out in the negative 11-degree weather today to see how a local nonprofit helps those who are experiencing housing insecurity.
Everyone's doing what they can to get out of this cold, but not everyone has a comfortable place to stay and keep warm. That's where Friends of the State Street family step in to help.
Today, we are doing emergency outreach.
Beth Malio is a volunteer with Friends of the State Street Family, a nonprofit that helps unhoused people in Madison. Volunteers drive around the city dropping off things like blankets, clothing, and gas cards to help people stay warm. Dane County issued emergency weather nights from January 17th to the 23rd, opening up shelters to most unhoused people. But Beth says that many of them stay in their cars instead of going to shelters in this frigid cold.
I think that that's an important recognition that shelter, when you get over 300 people, can be a really intimidating place. There's not privacy, kind of going into the unknown if they haven't been there before.
Beth says that volunteers always recommend people to shelters, but that many unhoused people with pets or family tend to stay together rather than being separated in temporary housing. She says that they've already passed out over 300 pairs of boots and that the Friends of the State Street family need more donations to keep the drive-bys coming. Reporting in Madison, Merrill Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Merrill, thank you. Friends of the State Street family are in need of unused glove and thermal donations to give to people who are living on the street. If you'd like to donate and help, we have links on our website, channel3000.com.
Some continuing coverage. Next month, Boston voters will decide on another referendum to keep the school district in operation.
Our Kyle Pazorski is back in Boston with an update.
The possibility of the Madison School District going into dissolution deals with a lot of what ifs, but soon those what ifs could turn into what now if a third referendum vote comes up with another no. It was in November when voters chose for a second time against a referendum to keep the Madison School District operational. Following that, Superintendent Joel Heesh went to the community telling them if a third failed, the district would consider dissolving. Vote Yes for Madison Kids, a group in support of the referendum, has been organizing within the community to get people on their side. The group includes Brett Kudik of Kudik Chevrolet, who says he's closely considered the consequences of this vote.
It's going to be much, much better for the community to have a vibrant school district than it is to have none, or to have one that limps along, which is what I think is going to happen.
The November referendum failed by only 69 votes. In Boston, Kyle Pazorski, News 3 Now.
Kyle, thank you. The next referendum vote will take place February 18th, and Kyle has more on what business people are saying could happen to them if the district dissolves, coming up tonight at 5.
Next on Live at 4, a flurry of executive orders.
A constitutional law expert talks with us about the legality of ending birthright citizenship for children of immigrants. That's when Live at 4 continues.
That's okay.
Well, kids, I hope you're enjoying your 4-day break from school, although it's too cold really to get outside and enjoy this weather. Jacob is here with the details. Hi, Jacob.
Hey, Susan, and we're going to continue to see cold weather tonight into early tomorrow, but it will be better by Wednesday afternoon. But we also could see some snow. Now, we're not expecting a lot of accumulation, but we could still see some slippery roads at times. Now, we are going to see milder temperatures definitely by the weekend, and then next week we actually could see temperatures back up in the 40s. But alert day conditions are going to continue for at least another 12 or so hours as wind chills will remain in the negative teens. Again, through Wednesday morning, by Wednesday afternoon, alert day conditions will come to an end, but we're still going to see some cold wind chills for the end of this week. Now, as we take a look at the current wind speeds, the winds are going to kind of dictate the temperatures. Right now, they're mainly out of the southwest, and then they're going to be out of the south this evening into the overnight hours and remain pretty breezy, up around 25, maybe even 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible. But that's going to cause temperatures to actually warm up slightly throughout the night, and that's going to continue into Wednesday morning with some breezy conditions continuing as well. Now, once we get later in the day Wednesday, the winds are going to shift back out of the northwest Wednesday night into Thursday, still remaining breezy, but then bringing in some more cold air. Now, the air is not going to be as cold as what we're seeing right now and what we have seen the last couple of days, but we're going to continue to see those wind chills below zero. So let's take a look at that wind chill forecast. Again, negative teens to low negative 20s throughout the overnight hours, but it's actually going to get better by the time we get to the morning, with some areas off to the west already improving into the negative single digits. Again, still very cold, but better to what we have seen, and then we are going to be better by Wednesday afternoon. But when the winds shift back out of the northwest, it will bring in more very cold wind chills. Now, we don't have an alert day for Thursday morning simply because it is going to be better compared to the last couple of days. And so it's not going to feel quite as cold. But again, it is still going to be very, very cold Thursday morning. And we'll have more wind chills below zero for Friday morning. Now, for Saturday morning, will be a lot better. But before I talk about that, I do want to talk about the snowfall. We are going to see some clouds roll in during the evening, and we'll see some light snow showers develop later in the night, but especially Wednesday morning. And the best chance of snow will be for areas south of Madison near the Wisconsin-Illinois border. And some of these snow showers may continue into the evening hours. Again, we're not expecting a lot of accumulation, maybe about a ½ inch at most, but beyond that, we're really not going to see much snow going forward, and we are definitely at a deficit when it comes to snowfall. This is the amount of snow that we've seen compared to what we normally see for January, right around 2 to 5% for areas in southwestern Wisconsin. Madison's in that 10 to 25% range, but we're on pace to have one of the driest Januaries on record in terms of the amount of snowfall we've seen. And after the snow tonight into tomorrow, that'll be just about it for snow chances, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, the good news is that we are going to see much nicer temperatures over the weekend. Highs will be in the 30s. And for next week, we could see a few days in the 30s as well, maybe even lower 40s at times.
Thanks, Jacob. And Wisconsin isn't alone. About 40 million people across the southeastern United States are under winter weather alerts. The National Weather Service is issuing its first ever blizzard warning along the Gulf Coast. Snow is falling from Texas through Louisiana and into parts of Mississippi and Alabama. The NWS says this is a generational winter storm event. More than 2,000 flights have been canceled or delayed due to the storm.
In California, 2 new wildfires are forcing people to evacuate in San Diego County. The Lilac and Pella fires come as high winds and dry conditions threaten the progress made on the other major fires in LA County. Those fires have killed 27 people and scorched more than 40,000 acres. As of today, the 2 deadly fires, Palisades and Eaton, are mostly contained. Amid the heightened risk, the Los Angeles Fire Department has firefighting teams pre-deployed.
Days after a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas went into effect, Israel is launching a major military campaign in the occupied West Bank. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced the start of a large-scale military operation in the city of Jenin today. The military killed at least 9 Palestinians and injured 40 more there. Netanyahu says the goal of this campaign is to eradicate terrorism in the city. In response, Hamas is calling for an escalation with Israel's military. This comes about 2 weeks from when the 2 sides are set to begin discussions about a permanent end to the war in Gaza.
Meanwhile, Israel's military chief of staff is resigning. In a letter, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi said under his leadership, military failed to protect citizens on October 7th. This is the highest profile departure of an Israeli official linked to October 7th.
It's President Donald Trump's first full day of a second term in office.
And as he did in his first term, he's seeking to undo much of what his predecessor did. Trump is already pulling America out of parts of the Paris Climate Agreement. That pact aimed at curbing countries' carbon emissions to fight climate change. The president also removed the U.S. from the World Health Organization. Trump also said his administration is considering putting 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico as soon as February 1st, unless both countries take measures to stop the flow of migrants and drugs into the U.S.
President Trump also signed an executive order that delays enforcing a law that could ban TikTok. The law requires the app's Chinese parent company to sell or be banned from U.S. app stores. Former President Joe Biden signed it in April after it received bipartisan support in Congress. The ban briefly went into effect on Saturday, but was back online Sunday morning and remains active.
In addition to his executive orders, Trump carried out his promise to release January 6th defendants. He granted Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio and Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes clemency. Rhodes was serving an 18-year prison sentence, and Tarrio was serving a 22-year sentence. The president also pardoned, commuted the prison sentences and vowed to dismiss the cases of more than 1,500 people charged for their involvement in January 6th.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, it is Restaurant Week in the 608.
Our Josh Spreiter gives us a look at the special menu at Kettle Black. That's when Live at 4 continues.
Welcome back. Top of mind for attorneys general across the U.S. today, the executive order to end birthright citizenship for children of immigrants.
Joining us now to talk more about whether that will hold up in court, UW Professor Emeritus of Political Science and Legal Studies, Howard Schwaber. Hi, Howard. Good to see you. Howard, can you hear us?
I can.
Oh, okay,
there we
good.
go.
Thanks for joining us today. So this is setting up a legal challenge over the 14th Amendment. Can you tell us what exactly does the Constitution say about birthright citizenship?
So we have to back up a little bit. Everyone will remember the case Dred Scott versus Sanford, right? The most notorious case in American legal history that, to put it very, very briefly, said black people couldn't be citizens of the United States because at the time of the founding, we were fundamentally a racist country. That case had a lot to do with the Civil War and the issues about that war. And just after the war in 1868, the 14th Amendment was adopted. And in order to target that decision specifically, the 14th Amendment says anyone born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction of the United States is a citizen of America and of the state they reside in. Now, that subject to jurisdiction part is tricky. It means that, for example, people who are here as ambassadors who have children, those children don't become American citizens. Until for the last 120, 30, 40 years, no one has questioned that the 14th Amendment simply means what it says. If you're born in the United States, you're an American citizen. Not a lot of other countries have such generous, this thing called birthright citizenship. It's not unique, but it's distinctively American. The Trump administration now wants to argue that people who are born either to parents who are here illegally or to parents who are here temporarily, and I should say to mothers who are here temporarily. The executive order makes specific provisions for women married to American citizens who are the fathers. But in a simple case, those people should not be citizens under the 14th Amendment. And they're trying to do it with a sort of an argument only a lawyer could love that says the language about jurisdiction somehow means that these people don't qualify for birthright citizenship.
And we're already seeing a number of legal challenges pop up. So what happens in the meantime? Does this executive order go into effect immediately, or how do they enforce this right now?
Right, so there's already been a lawsuit. If the order were to go into effect, people covered by the order would lose all sorts of benefits or access to services. I assume that within the next day or two, a federal judge somewhere will issue an injunction. This is the kind of case that doesn't require a trial with witnesses and fact finding. It's a pure legal question. What does the 14th Amendment mean? And that's the kind of question that tends to get fast tracked up to higher courts and to the U.S. Supreme Court. And in the meantime, I would expect a lower court judge to say, until the constitutionality of this order is resolved, it cannot go into effect. I'm confident the next day or two at the most, we'll see an injunction issued making that statement.
We will continue to follow it, and we'll have you back very soon. Howard, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, on a lighter note, Restaurant Week is underway in the 608. Maybe something hot today,
yes,
something
comforting.
nice and warm. We're giving you a little taste on News 3 Now.
Josh Sprider is in Madison with our next feature of the week.
I wish we had a smell-o-vision for you, because the Restaurant Week menu here at the Kettle Black Kitchen on Monroe Street is phenomenal. Take a look at what we have on the table right here in front of us. This is what is cooking up right now, starting tonight here at Kettle Black Kitchen. Sarah Anderson is joining us. Sarah, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
So this is such an exciting time for you guys, and probably more importantly this time around, because you guys have a new business. You guys just opened up here late last summer.
Correct. Yes. We bought it August 1st. We opened our doors August 20th.
And, what was your inspiration in this specific location, and what was behind the menu?
So this location, my husband went to West. All three of my kids went to Madison West. So this is our area. This is kind of where they grew up. And so we've always thought if we could find someplace on Monroe Street, we would definitely do it. And our daughter married an executive chef in Phoenix and moved back here. And we wanted him to be able to show his talents and see what he can do in the restaurant.
I think that's what makes this so unique, is the fact that you do this with your son-in-law. I mean, that's a great relationship to be able to have here. And I would also understand that probably makes things a little interesting around here too.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I see him more than I see my daughter, that's for sure. We're here all the time. It's basically him and I that do it, and then he's got a couple sous chefs, and we have our bar manager, and that's about it. We keep it pretty tight.
I love it. So this is such a unique space. Talk a little bit about what you guys wanted to create here at your restaurant.
Both Chris and I are, we don't like to follow the exact rules, right? So nothing matches. Our napkins don't match. Our chairs don't match. We want, that menu's going to change. He gets bored, and so we're going to put something new in that menu. So you got to come in and see what's the new stuff. I think we just wanted make everybody feel welcome, and make it be a comfortable place for people to come have dinner.
What made you want to be a part of Restaurant Week here in January?
Beginning of the year is pretty slow for restaurants, so it does help to have something to kickstart it. And it's a lot of great advertising, and we can get people to maybe try a few of our dishes, and they'll want to come back and try other stuff.
So now's the time to get your reservations. You guys will begin your Restaurant Week here tonight.
Correct. Yep. And then we go through the week and Yeah, so we still have spots open.
I
so
love
yeah,
it.
make your reservations.
So do you have a favorite dish? Is one of these out there stand out for you?
I eat that risotto underneath the salmon every night.
That looks so good.
Yes,
I know.
it
I was
is
looking
so
at
good.
that. I was like, I think that's my option right there.
It does have a little bit of kick to it.
That's all right.
Not much, but a little bit, and I think people love it.
Heats you up on a cold day like this.
Yes, yes.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much, and congratulations on your new business, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about Restaurant Week, especially here at Kettle Black Kitchen, just go to the story up on channel3000.com. In Madison, I'm Josh Sprider, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Josh. Now we're hungry.
Yeah, risotto with salmon. That sounds pretty good.
Really good.
I'll take one.
Still ahead on Live at 4, Dr. Jeff Potoff will join us. We're going to talk about how hospitals are dealing with the flu after the state confirmed the first child flu death.
And hear directly from Attorney General Josh Kaul about a suit seeking to block one of President Trump's executive orders a day into the new administration.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
In case you don't have it marked on your calendar, today is National Squirrel Appreciation Day.
Time to
celebrate?
Carbo load.
Yeah.
You need to load up to stay warm. I hope everybody, the kids are enjoying their snow day today, but maybe just a good day to stay inside and relax.
Yes.
It's too cold to get out and enjoy it anyway. And there's no, as far as we know, school is back on tomorrow, kids. So do your homework
Enjoy
tonight.
today, yes.
Yeah. Hi, Jacob.
Yeah, hey, Susan. Temperatures are going to remain cold throughout the night, but by tomorrow afternoon, they are going to be a lot better. Now, we're still at 0 for Madison. Areas to the north and east are below 0. Areas to the west and to the southwest are above it, but everyone is still seeing these wind chills well below 0 into the negative teens. The big reason for that is we are still seeing some breezy conditions. But the good news is that the winds are more out of the southwest, and that's going to bring in some warmer temperatures. Now, as we take a look at the high temperatures that we've seen so far today, some areas have not gotten above 0 just yet. Madison, the high temperature is right now at 0, so you can see very, very cold air, and it's going to continue to be very cold throughout the evening. We'll be right around 0 to just below it with those winds continuing to warm things up. So as we look at the temperatures by sunrise Wednesday morning, they obviously look cold, but they're going to be warmer than what they are right now. So the wind chills will still be below 0 to start Wednesday, but they're going to be above that level for Wednesday afternoon. And we also will see some snowfall. I'll talk more detail about both coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Jacob, thank you. We have a statement from Attorney General Josh Kaul about Wisconsin's participation in a lawsuit we were just talking to Howard Schwaber about against President Trump.
Kaul is one of 18 attorneys general suing to block Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship for children of immigrants. We spoke with him after his office announced its participation in the suit about why he believes our state needs to be a part of it.
The president is acting contrary to his responsibility. He's got a duty to execute the laws that are in place, not to contravene them. And that's what's happened here.
And the president has not said anything about the attorney's general suit just yet. We'll have more from AG Kaul later on News 3 Now.
A woman is recovering this afternoon after falling through the ice on Lake Monona this morning.
A scary incident and dramatic rescue were all caught on camera. Arman Rahman talked with first responders about what happened.
The Madison Fire Department got the call of someone falling through the ice on Lake Monona Tuesday morning. They came ready with their lake and rescue team with their exposure chute and dive suit to go into the water. However, they found out they didn't have to.
Oh my God, you guys, be careful.
Our friends at the police department made like a pretty daring, brave call to go out on the ice themselves.
In this video sent to us by a viewer, a woman ventures out onto the lake in an area near the Yahara River. The viewer, who asked to remain anonymous, tells News 3 Now they warned her not to go on the ice, but she refused to listen. A few minutes later, the viewer gasps as the woman falls through the ice into the dangerously cold water. Crews with Madison Fire's lake rescue team say no matter how frigid the temperatures may be, no ice is safe ice.
There are springs around the lakes that cause the ice to be thin in some spots. There's ice heaves that pop up that cause open water. There's the warm water discharge with MG&E. And some ice just doesn't form as well as others.
The woman was not injured, but there were concerns about her exposure to the cold. So what should you do if you happen to fall through the ice into the water on a frigid day like this? I'll have more on that tonight at 6. For now, reporting in downtown Madison, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Armand. Yeah, be careful out there. Now to Wall Street, U.S. stocks rose today after companies say they made bigger profits at the end of 2024 than expected. The Dow gained 538 points, the Nasdaq gained 127, and the S&P 500 gained 53.
Tonight, the DeForest Village Board will consider removing fluoride from the community's drinking water. The board is supposed to take up the issue during its regularly scheduled meeting at 6 o'clock. Last month, the village's Public Services Committee voted 5-2 in favor of removing fluoride. Fluoride has been added to drinking water across the U.S. for more than 7 decades. The mineral reduces tooth decay, and its use is backed by the CDC, the National Institutes of Health, and the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Well, this April, voters in Whitewater will find a referendum on their ballots. The city is asking for a $1.3 million increase in taxes. That money would be used to add 5 new police officers, a dispatcher, 2 firefighters and EMTs, and necessary equipment. If passed, the average homeowner would see an increase in annual property taxes of about $100. Coming up on Live at 4, we have movies Wolfman and Sing Sing.
We'll hear Will Loper's take on the new movies at the box office that open this week when Live at 4 continues. We'll be right back.
The Martin Luther King holiday weekend is always a big one at the box office.
Today would have been a good day, too, with no school to go see a movie. Film critic Will Loper has more on 2 new releases opening in movie theaters this week.
Hey, Susan and Brady. Wolfman, the newest movie in theaters, clawed its way to 3rd place, making a disappointing $10 million. But is the latest monster movie worth traveling to theaters to see?
Hello? Can anyone hear me? Hello? We were in an accident.
Daddy, are we gonna die?
No, it's my job to protect you.
Lee Winnell directs the newest take on the werewolf movie after directing the excellent 2020 film The Invisible Man.
Are you okay?
He's sitting in that chair.
In this film, Christopher Abbott plays Blake, a man who brings his family to the woods where a creature bites him.
I think my husband was infected.
Well, you can guess the rest. Blake begins to slowly turn into a wolf man himself.
What is happening to me?
Character arcs are non-existent, scares are few and far between, and the creature design is bizarrely the least hairy wolf I've ever seen. You'll want to skip this latest version of Wolfman.
Back up!
Also in theaters is the film Sing Sing.
To die. To sleep. To dream.
Coleman Domingo plays Divine G in the movie based on the real-life story of incarcerated men who participate in a prison theater program.
It's been a program that was established to help people get more in touch with their feelings and truly get some rehabilitation.
I am Gladiator Goliath!
Most of the cast are played by the real men themselves, and every performance rings true and is pitch perfect, most notably Clarence Macklin in the second lead.
Listen, I already know what you're doing, know who you are, what you about, bro. What? You don't get to tell me what I need in prison.
Sing Sing is a gut punch of emotion and empathy, and is easily one of the best movies of 2024, and is an absolute must-see. For Live at 4, I'm Will Loper.
Sing Sing's been on my list for a while.
What time are you picking me up? 2 good choices.
Okay, and then we'll get some snacks and we'll disappear into the movie theater until it gets warm.
Yeah, good plan. Coming up on Live at 4, why the FDA banned red dye number 3.
Plus, what doctors at UW Health are seeing as we continue to have an active flu season. On the next Live at 4, we'll be taking your plant questions for Lisa Briggs from the Bruce Company.
And we'll talk to local author Laura Gallagher about her new book, Home Again, a restoration story. Well, we are taking a live look at the frozen bean. That it's 1 degree in Chicago today. That is so neat, isn't it?
A few people are braving the cold weather.
I don't know if it makes you feel better, but boy, the weather all across the country. Have you seen the snow in New Orleans?
Yeah, that's something.
And along coastal Carolina, they're getting a couple inches of snow, so it's not just us. Hopefully that makes it more bearable. That's a great shot. State health officials say the spread of respiratory viruses in the area remains high. The first child in Wisconsin to die of the flu was reported just a couple of days ago.
And also this week, the FDA banned the use of red dye number 3 in the country's food supply. So we have a lot to talk about with UW Health's Dr. Jeff Pothoff, who is joining us via Zoom today. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Pothoff.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're hanging in there, yeah. So, unfortunately, this flu death, what does that tell us about the season, and are we expecting it to get worse?
Yeah, I think there's a few things there. One, respiratory season held off a little bit this year. It didn't come quite as quick as maybe we expected it to, but it is definitely here now. We've been in it for a number of weeks. Very high levels of influenza in the community, increasing levels of COVID-19. We are seeing some RSV also. It's tragic anytime anyone dies from one of these illnesses. I can't even imagine what that family is going through. I think it is a good reminder, though. A lot of people aren't vaccinated against influenza, and we know that vaccination is one of the things that you can do to significantly reduce the likelihood of you having this really awful outcome, i.e. like being admitted to the hospital, potentially dying of influenza. So never too late to do that, but always discouraging to hear that someone lost their life to influenza.
Absolutely, and it's probably not helping right now. It's so bitterly cold. We're all locked in close quarters inside. Is it too late to get a flu shot for yourself or your child?
Really never too late. If you haven't gotten it, now would be a great time to get it. It does take a while, about 2 weeks for you to develop that immunity. So if you go out and you get a flu shot today and you come down with the flu a week from now, it's not that the flu shot gave you the flu or it didn't work. It's just you ran into the flu bug before the vaccine could protect you.
Well, and then switching gears to the red dye number 3, what does this decision mean, I guess, for consumers, and how will this change the food industry?
Yeah, I mean, this red dye number 3 has kind of been a debate between food service companies and public health for a good long time. So back in the 1980s, it was seen that red dye number 3, when given to rats, would cause cancer. We also know that petroleum products like red dye number 3 have a tendency to be carcinogenic, but there wasn't this direct tie to human beings, which I think let it stay on the shelves maybe a little bit longer than it should. In Europe, they banned this chemical in 1994. It's been banned in cosmetics for quite some time. But I think, it really comes down to like, what bar do we want to have for something that could cause cancer, and then requiring an alternative. And I think for something like a coloring agent for food, doesn't have nutritional value, just makes the product look more desirable. We probably shouldn't tolerate any level of potential risk for development of cancer. So I think it's good that it's banned. I think it goes into effect over the course of a couple of years. So for now, pay attention to labels. And if you see red dye number 3, maybe avoid that product and get something else.
I mean, it's even like avoiding red M&Ms, or I've noticed that sometimes aspirin is red, like some over-the-counter drugs have red dye number 3. Should you just sort of be eliminating it yourself until it officially takes effect, just to be safe?
Yeah, I mean, the risk isn't, massive, but there is probably, some risk there. Certainly is not beneficial to you. I think until it is off the shelves and these products are reformulated, if you see something that has a bright red color to it, turn it over, look for red dye number 3. If you see it, pick an alternative product.
Yeah, and fun fact, if you're baking a red velvet cake, you can use a beet puree instead of food coloring.
That is a good tip.
Yeah.
That's a really good tip, actually. Red velvet cake is just chocolate cake with red food coloring.
Indeed. So. Look at that. All right, well, we learned a lot during this.
Full of news you can use here.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Pothoff. Stay
Thank
warm
you.
and healthy. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
And if you can stay inside and do some baking today. Nice
perfect day for
treat. Yes, Jacob is here with our forecast. So there we go.
Yeah, temperatures still going to be cold, even though they will start to get better starting tomorrow. But the alert day conditions are through tomorrow morning. We then are going to see some snowfall on Wednesday. And as I mentioned, it's going to remain cold, not as cold as it was today, but remaining cold through about Friday. But by the weekend and next week, it actually is going to be fairly mild across our area. So looking at the alert day information again, still for all of southern Wisconsin for wind chills expected to remain in the negative teens. And again, through Wednesday morning, by Wednesday afternoon, it will be a lot better. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the winds have been a big factor, are going to be a big factor with these wind chills and have been. We're going to see those winds shift out of the south during the evening and overnight, which will allow temperatures to warm up a little bit, but they are going to remain breezy, and the temperatures, they're not going to change too much. They're just going to warm up just a few degrees rather than drop during the overnight hours. So the wind chills Wednesday morning still very low, but then by Wednesday afternoon, it will be better. However, we're going to see the wind shift back out of the northwest later in the day Wednesday, which will bring in some more cold air for Thursday and potentially Friday, as the winds will remain breezy throughout those days as well. So looking at the wind chill forecast, again, remaining in the negative teens overnight, improving a little bit by Wednesday morning, but still very cold, negative single digits further west near the Mississippi River. But then by Wednesday afternoon, they will be above zero. But as those winds shift back out of the northwest, we're going to see the wind chills back in the negative teens, with Friday expect to be another morning with below zero wind chills. But it will get better by the time we get to Saturday. Before I talk about that, let's take a look at the snowfall forecast. Clouds are going to increase this evening, and then later in the night into Wednesday morning, we'll see some scattered snow showers. Should be pretty light for the most part. Could see about a ½ inch at most, maybe a full inch for a few isolated locations. So it may make roads a little bit slippery. It won't take a lot of falling snow to accumulate, considering how cold the ground is. But even with that, we're not expecting a ton of snowfall. May continue to see some light snow for the evening, but then by Thursday morning, we are going to be dry. So here's a full look at the 7 to 10 day forecast. 30s are possible Saturday, and then next week we will fluctuate between the 20s and 30s, but overall a lot better compared to today in the last couple of days. And after tomorrow, we're still not going to see a lot of snow.
Performers are lining up for a concert at the end of this month to raise money for victims of the Los Angeles County fires.
LA native Billie Eilish is one of the big acts slated to perform at the benefit concert Fire Aid. Also in the lineup, Katy Perry, Rod Stewart, Lady Gaga, and so many others. It'll be broadcast and streamed live on many platforms, including Paramount Plus. And that's not all. The SoCal Fire Fund will donate all proceeds to victims of the Los Angeles fires. Other encounters up for grabs include a visit to the set of Only Murders in the Building and a visit with George Clooney during the April premiere of his play Good Night and Good Luck on Broadway. And we'll be right back. Tomorrow on Live at 4, a local author shares her story. And Lisa Briggs joins us to take your plant questions. And later on News 3 Now at 6, a warning from the governor of Florida as the state prepares for an unprecedented winter storm. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.